Hey everybody, it's Tucanxan and welcome to the Tucanxan art channel. This is day 14 of 30 of my 30-day challenge. We're almost halfway through. It's been a great experience so far. And if you want to see me do this piece and you want to know the process behind it, please keep watching. Okay, so here we go. This is day 14 of 30 of my 30-day YouTube art challenge, and we're keeping up with the pastel grunge punk vibes today. There wasn't any particular inspiration for this piece. I just really wanted to have something that challenged me as far as using perspective, so a kind of forced perspective kind of look. And it doesn't look like forced perspective, it looks like accurate perspective. But one thing that I really admire in artists, specifically in the realms of anime and manga, is when they can accurately depict the human body, but they really have mastered foreshortening. And I'm sure most of you know what that is, but if you don't, that's when something is coming out of you in space to seem like a three-dimensional object. And so that's what I kind of wanted to play with a little bit today, because I know that when I start illustrating my graphic novel, I am going to need to know how to do things like that. Like, I'm going to need to know how to foreshorten the limbs, how to foreshorten things like chairs and buildings and all that kind of stuff. So this was good practice for that today. So let's talk a little bit about Copic Markers, shall we? So I was having a problem a little while back when I bought, I kind of went in and bulk invested in a bunch of Copic markers because I knew I wanted to play with them, but I was having a really hard problem with the darker pigmented colors dripping on my page. So if you're watching this right now, you're seeing that I have the back end off of the marker, and that's a tip that the Copic website said was like, to equalize the air pressure inside the Copic marker cartridge, you should lay it flat and have both ends of the caps off. Personally, I don't think that should be up to me to make sure that their product doesn't malfunction. And Copic markers are super expensive. Like, I like using them because that's what I have the most of, but I'm sure I've heard that touch markers and stuff like that work equally as well as Copics. So that's what I found has helped me when I'm dealing with markers that I know have a habit of bleeding. So let's go in and talk about what colors I actually used today. For the base of her skin, I went in with RV02, which is Sugared Almond Pink, because I knew I wanted a super saturated, non-realistic color palette again. It's just been really fun playing with that. And then for the cool shadows that you see, which are really block shadowed, and I did have reference for this photo. I just took a picture of me holding my hands out into the camera, so that's where I got the shading placement from. Like, some of it I included myself, but most of it was from reference, because I have a really hard time deciding where to place my shadows. So I went in with RV13, which is a tender pink for the shadows, and then I colored in her lips with an RV06 in Cerise. And then her corset was a combination of a couple different colors. I think I used BV00 for the first one, and then to kind of like smooth things, I think I did the BV00 to give the base of the corset. And then I did the same with her hair. I knew I wanted like that purpley lavender hair, but I had a hard time. I knew that if I just colored over all the line work, I would have a really hard time differentiating between which strands I wanted to keep light and which strands I wanted to keep dark. So I went in with a V17 amethyst and I outlined everything, and I kind of wish I hadn't, because I feel like it took away initially a little bit from the piece. And then I went in with a BV00 for the main block color of the hair. But I actually think it ended up looking really cool because I went over a couple times with different colors. So for the strands of her hair that you I'm not Sean Connery, I used a BV23, and I really like the way that looked, and you can see that I used it a few times here in this video. I used it to also put the shading on what would eventually be her corset, And for her eyes and for the stroke initially outside of her, I went with a G00, which is a jade green, and that ran out unfortunately before I could use it. So to actually do the main background, I went in with a BG13 because it was kind of a similar color to the G00, but just much more darker and pigmented. And I just filled in the background with that. And again, what I'd like to talk to you guys about is if you're trying to get that smooth blended look without having all those streaks, which, let's be honest, a lot of that is going to depend on your paper. And I just used the Strathmore marker paper, but I think there's better paper to use to kind of help eliminate that streakiness. But same thing with a flat watercolor wash or a flat wash. That was a tongue twister. Kind of go back in vertically, and then go back in horizontally, and then go back in diagonally, and that is how you will get a relatively smooth flat background color. So then I just took a regular old ballpoint pen and I started doing the details of her eyes and giving her eyelashes. I gently stroked the outside of her eye and I gave her pupils. And then I went in, I don't know what color this is, I'm sorry, I'll put it in the description, but I went in with this warm pink, and it was a very bright pink, because I, again, did not want to focus on relying on black heavy line work. I wanted to keep it kind of surrealistic, and I thought I should complement the skin instead of kind of heavily stroking in black. So that's what I did. I took this pink and I stroked her entire figure, her chin, her jaw, the hair, all of it was done with this pinky color, and I think that helped the hair kind of tie into the piece more. And then I colored in her nostrils with a ballpoint pen, and I gave her some details in her mouth, and then I went in with my Sakura Jelly Roll in white, and I stroked a lot of her. Like, I gave her a rim light on her jaw, I added some details in her corset, I did like the lightest parts of her hands, and I did some of her hair with the Sakura Jelly Roll. I just love this pen so much. It's really great for just kind of taking a finished piece to the next level. And I think that's about it. Alright, cool. So that's it. That was the entire process behind it. It was pretty quick and I had a lot of fun with it, and I think I maybe might do one or two more pastel things before I move on to focusing on ink washes. So if there's anything else you'd like to see in the next couple of days, then please let me know. Please like, comment, subscribe. Any kind of feedback, always greatly appreciated. It really makes my days to know that people are engaged in my work, and I think I say that at the end of every video, and I mean it sincerely every single time. So thanks for stopping by today, and join me for day 15 of 30 tomorrow. Bye guys! See that? Keep watching. Moose.